Yes. We've moved from bad news to good news. It is good news because it involves the genesis of the prosperity of humanity. That is education. Scholarships are very good. However, what is better than the scholarships is the fair management of the scholarships. And therefore, it is no news for the deadline of the scholarship application to be extended. What should be news to us is for fair management, fair distribution of the scholarship. And it is important for all of us to understand that in this era of technology, we need to ensure that the management, the application, the disbursement of the scholarships should be based on the principle of fairness, honesty, and accountability. Let me say that it is up to the Scholarship Secretariat to resist any form of manipulation from any quarters. And the Scholarship Secretariat can do so if its work is transparent. If you and I know the criterion or the set of criteria used in selecting the beneficiaries. If you and I know the criterion or the set of criteria used in even appointing the staff of the Scholarship Secretariat. If we are able to know all these things, then we will be able to check the beneficiaries, whether they have been picked based on the criteria or the criterion, or based on the whims and caprices of some individuals. And it is important for us to also celebrate that today our potential beneficiaries are using technology, the online application, because the world is moving from manual to digital. And it is a source of celebration for us to know that today it is no longer a matter of paperwork in terms of application. It is a matter of online. And this gives us the opportunity to be able to identify the manner of disbursement of the scholarship. Let the Scholarship Secretariat understand that we need brilliant people, needy people, and those who will come and contribute to the knowledge society or knowledge community. In fact, the knowledge industry is getting much more complicated. So the scholarship award should also be in line with the complication of the knowledge industry. For instance, the Scholarship Secretariat should be able to identify certain programs or courses that are relevant to the economic development of this nation. Certain programs that are relevant to the needs of the younger generation. And the Scholarship Secretariat should be able to categorize the award of the scholarship in terms of courses or programs. For example, we should be able to know the number of scholarships that should go into the sciences, the number of scholarships that should go into the technological area, the arts, the humanities, and professional studies. So that ideally, if in a year the Secretariat publishes the availability of the scholarship, in other words, the number of scholarships available, the programs, possibly the universities or other research institutions, then it is known, everybody knows that this is the number of science scholarships available. This is the number of humanities scholarship available. And then when the applications are completed, then the scholarship secretariat comes back at the end of the disbursement and then tells the whole world how the allocations have been done. And once we are able to know the manner of allocation, we can judge what he or she tells us and what is contained in the criterion or in the criteria. So if we are able to do this, then we will be using the scholarships in the supreme interest of the state and not in the interest of certain individuals, institutions, or groups.
All right, thank you. Honorable.
Well, I do not have much to say except to say that it's rational, reasonable, and commendable for the Scholarship Secretariat to extend the time for persons who are seeking government sponsorship to pursue their studies to be able to put in their applications. Many factors account for this. One, the school calendar was affected by COVID-19, and so the normal calendar for the scholarship secretariat could not be adhered to because of the variations in the calendar of the school calendar by the presence of COVID-19. We ourselves as a country were preparing for elections, so everybody's mind was directed towards the elections. So it could be understood that some of the students who otherwise would have been interested in benefiting from government scholarship would have been consumed by election activities. So yes, give them an opportunity. Those who still want to pursue, to obtain government scholarship to be able to go to school, to do so. Now the results itself of the examination was released just some few weeks before elections.
Absolutely.
And so many people would have, based on the results, applied for admission or would have received admission letters from the universities if they had already purchased admissions form. In the past, that was what used to happen. When if you were a candidate in an election, in an examination, seeking to enter a university, you could buy the admission forms in anticipation of the results you will get in the examination. And then if you got the universities then collected the results directly from the West African Exams Council and cross-checked with the people who had applied to them to be able to select their intake. But now I understand that the results has to be out before the forms are purchased. And so that clearly will show a delay. And if Scholarship Secretariat thinks that, and I think it's a right decision, I think it's a good decision, to extend the date for people who otherwise are indigent and who should benefit or who are qualified to benefit from government sponsorship, then it's good. The only thing is that in all these things, there must be some level of transparency and accountability.
The beneficiaries.
The beneficiaries. Who are they? Are they really people who are needy but brilliant? Are they, or are they getting the scholarship by reason of their connection with the political establishment? Because the scholarship secretariat is set up for a determined purpose. Now, are the people, the beneficiaries, enjoying scholarships geared towards national development? Are they doing courses relevant? Are they doing courses, which courses are offered in Ghana? Okay, but and can be, and it will be cheaper to train them in Ghana?
Absolutely.
Or are we paying because of other considerations for them to go outside? So we need to be transparent. We need to be prudent in the use of the resources, and we need to be accountable. But all in all, I think that is a good decision.
Okay, very well. At this juncture, I think it's important to extend a voice of thank you to all our viewers in Tamale, Wa, and its environs. We're grateful that you always watch the morning show. Keep watching and keep streaming on Facebook as well. Mr. Pratt, please.
Well, unfortunately, I cannot agree with the earlier two panelists. For me, this announcement, again, is indicative of the lies politicians tell. This announcement is clearly indicative of the deliberate attempt to manipulate the electorate, to turn the heads of the electorate, just for the sole purpose of getting a lot more votes. In the run-up to the elections, didn't you all see the headlines about free university education?
Absolutely.
Is this statement indicative that anybody is going to implement free university education?
No.
Haven't we been deceived? Again? Because in the run-up to the elections, we were told that if we voted for some political party or some political parties, we shall have free university education. Do you have free university education now? What the Scholarship Secretariat is announcing is nothing new. All over the years, since 1969, when the Bouzier government introduced fee paying into our universities and so on, there have been all kinds of government-administered scholarship schemes for university students. So scholarships for university students is not new. All they are saying is that they are extending the application.
The online application.
Yeah, they are extending the time for application. And that now the application is online. That's what they are telling us. This suggests that some people will get and some people will not get. How many people are going to get the scholarship and how many people are not going to get? I mean, that's my concern. If only 5% of those who qualify to go to universities are going to get scholarships, what about the 95%? If only 20% of those who qualify to go to university are going to get a scholarship, what about the 80%? If only 30%, what about the 70%? We have been deceived again. You understand? We have been clearly deceived again. Now, unless you don't know this country the way I know it, if there is competition for scholarships, it will certainly mean that not all those who apply will get, and not all those who qualify will get. Who are those who will get? Those with the appropriate and proper connections are those who are going to get it. And those would not include the cocoa seller's child at Mamobi. It would not include the Kayayu at Medina and so on. So who are going to get these scholarships? By now, yes, the application is online and so on, but people are applying online and sending copies of their online applications to their godfathers and sponsors and so on.
Yeah.
And complimentary cards are being attached and sent to different places. That is how Ghana works. Somebody should tell me that is not how Ghana works. So what is there to comment about this? We have been deceived again. During the campaign for the election, especially the last month of the elections and the last 2 weeks and so on, I said, hey, these politicians have come up again. Oh. They will trick us. They have tricked us again. Because I know that it is not possible today, given our economic circumstances and so on, to introduce free university education. And yet the masses were made to believe that there will be free university education. Now we are being told that's a scholarship scheme and that you should apply online. And in fact, there are many people who cannot even apply online. There are many communities who don't have internet access in our country. They can't even apply. There are whole communities where you can't see one computer is not available in the whole community. So, what is this Kukwananse story?
Right. Yeah, you want to make it? Yeah, of course. Yes. Please.
I enjoyed the analysis by Uncle. But let me make it clear that scholarships are not only meant for universities or degree programs. There are other educational institutions where scholarships are awarded for studies. Again, what we should also understand is that scholarships, in fact, mostly, the scholarships awarded by the Scholarship Secretariat, mostly, are for external universities. And these external universities have different academic calendars. So, when I agree with him, when he says that we do not know how many people will get and how many people will not get. And that is why I had earlier suggested that before even the disbursement, let us know the number of scholarships available. After, let us know the number of people awarded the scholarships and the institutions. So I am still proposing that the scholarship secretarial boards should always have an annual report on how various scholarships have been awarded. I think that will boost the level of transparency and accountability in the management of the scholarships.
There was an issue which was raised by Alaji Inusa Husseini, which I think is quite germane. And the issue is simply this. Look at where Ghana is today. We are virtually crawling on our knees. The economy is in shambles. The industrial sector is in a comatose situation and so on. So if you're going to give scholarships, you need to give scholarships with an eye on what skills you need to propel our development.
Exactly. I think I made that statement.
Yeah. So all these scholarships, what are they meant for?
We don't even know them. That's the truth.
What is the development plan for which the scholarship, the award of scholarships is feeding?
Absolutely.
Because first of all, you have to have a development plan, a national development plan, which sets out clear goals. Do you need more mathematicians now in the face of the bungling of the election result by the
and that calls for the categorization of the scholarship.
But in the face of the bungling of election results by the EC, perhaps this country needs to pay attention to teaching mathematics. And therefore we've got to be looking at providing scholarships for specialists, in statistics and mathematics and so on. Because we cannot continue to have this situation where our whole electoral commission cannot do simple addition and subtraction. You understand?
Yeah.
Given what we are doing in the oil industry, do we need a lot more petrochemical engineers and so on? We've got to be looking at that. What is the national priority now? And how is the scholarship scheme feeding into that national priority? That's an important question. That's quite apart from the deliberate deception that we are going to have free tertiary education.
Maybe we should invest in adult education. I think some people need it.
Yes,
particularly in the area of mathematics.
You see, we can have a holistic solution to the problems confronting the education.
Right.
If we try to have a holistic approach. For instance, it is not just a matter of scholarship. We need a total overhaul of the educational system. 1, scholarship. 2, curriculum. 3,
I think what Mr. Price is saying, yes, we should focus our attention on that as well. It must not be divorced from a national plan. Which
no,
we don't have.
No, that's what I'm coming.
Okay, so
I'm saying that scholarship, curriculum design, programs, then in relation to national development plan.
Absolutely.
If we do not do this, we will continue to have expertise that may not even be relevant to our development.
Absolutely. Thank you very, 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 very much. Now, we're coming to discuss what is on the front page of Daybreak newspaper, which says, "My blood is MPP. My blood is MPP." And I want to respectfully start with Honorable Inusa Husseini on this subject, but perhaps to look at it from a constitutional legal perspective and find out whether or not, it's grounded in some law or logic or some constitution for him to say that, and what are the implications therefrom, please.
Well, thank you so very much. I have read and scanned some of the newspapers of today, and some are reporting matters that are clearly worrying. The Constitution provides clearly that a person elected on the ticket of a party cannot, while serving in Parliament as a member of the party for which or whose ticket he was elected, join another party.
Okay, can you repeat that again, please?
A person elected on the ticket of a political party, while serving in Parliament on the ticket of that party on which on which he stood to be elected, cannot join another party.
Okay.
So effectively, you cannot cross carpet in Parliament.
Okay.
You cannot be an NDC. You cannot be elected into Parliament as an NDC member, and while in Parliament you cross over to the MPP or any other party. You will lose your seat. Your seat will immediately be declared vacant and a by-election organized. You cannot also, while elected into Parliament as an independent member of Parliament, join another party while in Parliament.
Okay. Okay.
Immediately you do that, you lose your seat.
Okay.
That is also cross-carpeting. But two jurisprudential legal issues arise here.
Okay.
First of all, my good friend who was sacked from Parliament by the MPP because he failed, refused, or neglected to step down for the party's sponsored candidate in the Fomena constituency, was fortunate to have the people, a majority of the people, vote for him in the recently ended parliamentary elections in Fomena. He beat the MPP candidate, sponsored candidate, by close to 2,000 votes difference, because he garnered about 12,000 votes. Now, so he's been declared elected for Parliament as an independent member of Parliament. I spoke of the jurisprudential issue because he has not yet been sworn in as a member of Parliament. So all these statements are being made in the context of speculation that he was sworn in, and that if he is sworn in, or when he is sworn in, he will sit with the MPP. But sitting with the MPP is not a problem. Parliament is organized into majority and minority in Parliament. There is no middle ground. You have a majority and you have a minority. You remember Samia Nkrumah's case, where even though she was sitting with the majority, she insisted that she be independent. She be recognized as an independent member of Parliament. She wanted that recognition because she thought that she should be free to exercise her support for one or the other party anytime a matter that was being pursued by either party was consistent with her policy and ideology.
Absolutely.
But she was refused because Parliament is organized into majority and minority. The majority party in Parliament is the party, by outstanding orders, is the party that has the highest number of seats in Parliament. It is not the government party. It is the party that has the highest number of seats in Parliament. So assuming that NDC makes the claim and successfully fights the parliamentary election battles and gets the 140 seats in Parliament, even though Nana Akufo-Addo has been declared president-elect of the Republic of Ghana, NDC will be the majority party in Parliament. And it comes with some rights, duties, and responsibilities. They will elect a Speaker of Parliament. The only problem we will have is that the majority leader is also the leader of government business. It's also the leader of government business. So that's why this Parliament is going to be very interesting. I mean, and I had hoped that the NDC will have the majority of seats in Parliament, to see how we navigate the issue of the majority leader being the leader of government business. You know, because NDC cannot be doing the business of MPP in Parliament. And so, yes, it's interesting. So, first of all, let's understand that the statements made by, and I've read his statements are captured in the Daily Graphic. He says, in one vein, he says, I'm going to sit with the MPP because MPP is in my blood. I'm going to sit with them. Sitting with them is not joining. It's not joining a political party. It's sitting with them. But in another vein, he says, I will join them. What does it mean? Because the Constitution actually uses join another party. You can't join, while sitting in parliament, you can't join another party. You will lose your seat. But, like I said earlier, he's not yet in parliament. If parliament will be constituted at midnight or dawn of 7th January 2021, they'll be constituted, they'll be sworn in, they'll take their oaths, oath of office and oath of secrecy, and then they will then prepare ourselves, they will then prepare themselves because I will not be there again. And my tenure of office will end on the midnight 7th of January 2020. The newly constituted parliament will then prepare themselves for the president to be inaugurated before them. Okay, and then the whole government then starts. A new government then starts to run from the 7th day of January 2021 until the 7th day of until the 6th day of January 2025. So that's how it is. And it is, if he makes that statement, then he will be taken on in parliament. If he makes, after the 7th day of January 2021, if he makes a statement like, I will join the MPP, he might find himself in a very difficult position. But he can sit with the MPP. And it's not new. You remember Boniface Abubakar Sadiq. He had put in an application to contest the seat of Salga, the Salga constituency seat on the ticket of NDC. At that time, we had one Dramani, Honorable Dramani or so. He was a sitting member. The party supported Dramani, Honorable Dramani. Boniface became aggrieved and stood independent and won the Salga seat. But when he came to parliament, and the MPP had won the elections and constituted government in 2001. And so he sat with them as an independent. He was even given a ministerial position. You remember? You remember Rashid Bawa? Rashid Bawa was NDC, Akan constituency. He and Japon Kujo had their differences. They said Japon Kujo must go. Rashid Bawa did not accept that. He decided that he would contest the Akan seat. He was then working in the office of the vice president then, Professor Mills. And he decided that, I will contest the seat as an independent. He contested the seat as an independent, won the seat. NDC lost the 2000 elections. Came to parliament in 2001 as an independent and sat with the MPP. That was Rashid Bawa and Boniface's journey into MPP. Now I'll give you many such examples. That in 2009, Mr. Sani of Williamson constituency was the previous DCE for MPP under Kufuor. He lost out in the contest primaries for Williamson. He stood as an independent for the Williamson constituency. He won the seat as an independent. NDC won the presidential elections. He came to parliament and sat with the NDC. We gave him, NDC made him a deputy minister for water resources, works and housing. So sitting while in parliament, sit as an independent, sitting with a party, either majority or minority, is no problem. But you cannot join. You remember the case of Joe Osei Owusu. When he came to parliament as an independent member of parliament, then before the end of tenure of that parliament, he decided while in parliament to stand on the ticket of the MPP. You remember that case? Yeah. Yes, it generated a lot of heat in Parliament. He was just fortunate that it was there with 3 months to go. But it generated a lot of hate in Parliament.
Sorry, no, there's a developing story in Subzero. We have been informed that some military men have besieged Subzero now, shooting indiscriminately in Subzero as we speak. We are trying to connect with Honorable A.B. Husseini to give us a lot of information in respect of this subject matter. But what we are reliably informed is that some military men have besieged Subzero now in search of some pink sheets, we are told. And they are shooting indiscriminately. We will reach out to Honorable A.B. Husseini for him to tell us more. And we will also ensure that our news team will go there now and share with us what is currently happening. Yes, Honorable, please.
Well, if the news is true, then it's very unfortunate, because we had been told days to the preparation for the 2020 elections that the military will have no role. My brother Kusepra, remember this. They told us that the military will only play a backup role, and that if anybody was fomenting trouble, because apart from the military, other security services, particularly the police, the immigration, the fire service, and the customs division of the Ghana Revenue Authority will be at the polling stations. They will be assisted by officers of the Ghana Bureau of Investigation, now called National Investigation Bureau, in plain clothes, but they would not be at the polling station. And that if anybody was fomenting trouble at the polling station, the military rapid response team will be invited to quell them. How can the military then go in search of pink sheets? And that was what they did in Taiwan South.
Zubra, please, let me come to you on the Femina MP story.
Well, I thought that we had ABA on the line.
Yeah, ABA, we're still trying to connect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is a straightforward case. The Femina MP elect, Member of Parliament elect, cannot be acting on behalf of the New Patriotic Party in Parliament. If he acts or declares to be acting for the New Patriotic Party in Parliament, he loses his seat and there should be a by-election. That's what the law says clearly. Now, the issue is not where he sits in Parliament. I mean, if he goes on air and he makes the claim that the blood in him, the blood in him is MPP, it's a clear sign that he's not going to act as an independent candidate in Parliament, an independent member of Parliament. You understand? If he goes on making claims that, look, he can never act against the interests of the New Patriotic Party and so on, it means that he's subverting his status as an independent candidate. And proper steps can be taken now to make sure that he doesn't take his seat in Parliament. The people who voted for him were not voting for MPP. They knew that the MPP had a candidate there, and yet they chose to vote independent. Now, what he's saying would amount to a betrayal of the people who voted for him. And I'm very worried about that. The Femina MP is beginning to betray the people who voted for him even before he assumes his seat. And that's a huge problem. You understand? I understand why the National Democratic Congress is being cagey and nice and so on. You understand? But look, if we insist on the principles, if we insist on the law, let's insist on it all the way. You cannot be insisting on recounting ballots. You cannot be insisting on auditing of election results and so on, and be tolerating this clear cross-carpeting in Parliament. You understand? We are either principled or we are not. We are either for the law or we are not. The law clearly says that cross-carpet. And this Femina MP is indicating that he's going to cross-carpet. So let NDC be principled. Let all of us be principled. Let's work according to the law. The Femina MP elect clearly is making statements which indicate a violation of the law. And the law must take its course.
Doc.
It's interesting But as it is, definitely, we are witnessing a developing story. He is now an MP elect.
Absolutely.
And by the explanation of my elder brother and then uncle, I've realized that Parliament has two characteristics in terms of operation. One, the partisan family, and then two, the size. So partisanship and size. And I think the two are different. If the MP decides to take sides with a particular division of Parliament, that may not be an offense to the law. But if he decides to be a member of a party in Parliament, that may be an offense.
Hi, good morning to you, sir. Sorry, Doc.
Good morning.
I understand you are the MP elect for Subzero, correct?
It has not been declared yet. They rather fraudulently declared it for my opponent.
Is this Alassane?
This is Alassane. I am the current MP.
Okay.
I'm the incumbent MP for Subzero.
Okay, so we understand that there are some military men there who are shooting indiscriminately in your constituency at the moment. Can you confirm or deny that assertion?
Yes, there is some presence of military here at the EC office in cahoots with the government to pick the BVD's machines Accra, but they haven't started shooting. It's just that we are preventing them to take the evidence from the crime scene. Bear in mind, the EC, together with my opponent, who is the deputy regional minister, refused to finish the collation of the results in Subzero, which is one of the stipulations within the CI 127, and rather move it to Tamale without knowledge of us, and went there and declared it secretly. We have since been asking the EC to give us the pink sheet, as also stated in Article 43 of the CI 127 Section F, that they must give it to us.
And what are the ECB saying?
Have refused to give it to us, and this is their second attempt to move the BVD machine, which is the biometric verification machine, which has the information of every police station. They have to take it and reformat them so that we wouldn't be able to correlate them to each pink sheet that we now have in our possession.
So where are the BVDs now?
They are at the EC office, their storeroom.
So
the district electoral office, commission office.
Okay, so they've not moved it from the EC's office now, correct?
They've not moved it from the office, but maybe due to the crowd, we are still around there. Even though I have not been out there, but the constituents have moved there. The crowd is building, and we will not stop. We will have to stop this fraud to continue to for the government and people, EC, to continue to perpetuate this fraud on the people of Subzero.
All right, thank you very much. We'll connect with you again, but you can confirm that the military are not shooting indiscriminately, correct?
Yes, I'm home now, but they are there.
Okay.
They are around. This is not the first time they came with military, and they were beating up people, shooting, and maybe that's the first time event. But this time we have built up crowd there too.
All right.
Maybe when I go to the
when was the first time? When was the first time?
The first time was almost a week ago.
Almost a week ago. Okay.
Yes, Sunday. Just this past Sunday. It's not even a week. Just this past Sunday.
Oh, just a Sunday. So okay, it's not up to a week. Right, we'll call you again. It's a developing story. We'll reach out to you again in the course of today.
Excuse me?
We'll reach out to you again.
Oh, no problem. Thank you so much.
Thank you very kindly.
I'm in Subzero, I'm in the constituency.
Very well, thank you.
Okay.
Right, thank you, Alassane. Doc, please.
All right. So, as I said, Parliament should be looked at in two forms. One, side. Two, party. If you look at the minority, characteristically, the minority has never been made up of only one party, unless, of course, the country involved is operating two-party system. If it is two-party system, you can have one party for minority, the other party for majority. But in a situation of multi-party democracy, definitely the minority will be made up of so many political parties and independent candidates depending on their wish. So to side with one political party in terms of division, in terms of seating, is constitutional. To work for another party, for one political party, in terms of membership, in terms of declaring support, that will be an offense to the law. So it is up to the MP to understand, and I'm happy he is a lawyer, right? Am I right? He's not a lawyer. Okay. If he's not a lawyer, thank you for correction. If he's not a lawyer, he should seek legal advice, or he himself should read the Constitution very well and advise himself. Let him understand that whatever he does is regulated by the Constitution,
right,
and he must not allow himself to be reduced to a subject of mockery.
Okay. Thank you very, very much, Dr. Marzouk. Final topic for today is confusion over election results from Taiwan South. And Dr. Marzouk, maybe I would have to start with you on this one. I'm sure you've been following what is happening in Taiwan South.
Yes, yes.
The declaration that was marked by violence and disagreements, etc. And I'm sure you're also aware that former president and a leader in flag bearer of the NDC visited Taiwan South together with his party leaders yesterday, I believe, to visit the chiefs and also to engage them, in a conversation that will perhaps change the narrative as is being experienced now. So let's hear from you on this subject matter.
Yes, it is unfortunate that confusion continues to exist in any of the constituencies. And I believe that it is the people who must resist any attempt to manipulate their will. Whatever we are saying here should be understood in the context. I am not speaking for any political party, but my concern is with the will of the people. If Party A wins, that must represent the will of the people. If Party B wins, that must be a reflection of the will of the people. It is unfortunate and something that we should not even celebrate, that in this era, we still have elections that are marred by violence. And it continues to question the preparation of the Electoral Commission. I think Electoral Commission should do well to ensure that whatever becomes the result reflects the true will of the people of the constituency. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Inusa Fuseni, please.
Well, the Taiwan South is a classic case of the Electoral Commission trying to procure elections for one of the stakeholders in the public election. Now, public elections are regulated, or the conduct of public elections are regulated by law. And in Moshe and Bejina, a celebrated case, a rule of law simply means that you must obey the substantive law as well as procedure.
Absolutely.
So if the law says that this should be done, and shows you how the thing should be done, you must not only follow the law saying that that should be done, that thing should be done, but you must also follow the law on what it says should be the way to do it.
Certainty and predictability.
Clearly. Yes. Now, so in actual fact, if we had simply and this particular law, CI 127, was gazetted on 6th August 2020. 6th August 2020, and that's the law that we use for the elections. the chairperson of the Electoral Commission is the person who sponsored the laying of this CI in Parliament to regulate how she conducts the elections. Now, so I'm sometimes disappointed, really, when people are calling for peace, but they are not even interrogating CI 127 to see whether the Electoral Commissioner and the Electoral Commission actually followed the procedure laid out by them in CI 127. You see, they shouldn't be, if the Electoral Commission has simply followed to the letter the procedure and it had opportunity to train its agents and its officers, we wouldn't be having this problem. Because elections, public elections are meant to be transparent and accountable. Now, they should be transparent and accountable because the vote of every person, every eligible voter who decides to partake in election must matter, must count, must be acknowledged and accounted for. That is all about elections. That if we are sitting in this room and we have an election to be done, a private election to be done in this room, and people have put up themselves to occupy positions, and we have the total number of people in this office as registered persons who can partake, that the elections must be a manifestation, a reflection of the will of the people in this office. The outcome of any public election in this country must be a manifestation or a reflection of the ultimate will of the people. Now, how do we guarantee that nobody is shortchanged in an election? So look at how elections are organized in Ghana. You have the polling station that records the number of people who should vote at the particular polling station. We don't just send electoral officers there. We say that parties must have their agents. And parties, when after the close, the elections takes place from 7 o'clock to 5 o'clock in the evening. And then when we close the elections, we don't carry the ballot box to another place to open same and count it. We have to count the results, the presidential and the parliamentary, and declare the results over there in respect of the candidates who have contested. In fact, the law requires the declaration. You can write on the wall, if there's a wall there, so everybody to see that in this polling station XYZ got these numbers after the close of polls. So we know who won at which polling station. And then you have to fill forms. There's a form 1A. Form 1A, and attribute to each candidate the results. Then after they are satisfied that that is a true reflection of what happened, each agent of the contesting party is given a copy, which we call the pink sheet. And the first time it came, they were pink in nature. Okay, so, but it's a duplicate of the original. So what do? Your agent then sends the duplicate to a parallel collation office.
So spotlight.
A parallel office to the EC. And then the results are collated. When I was contesting elections, I knew the outcome of my election or how far I was ahead of my opponents 1 or 2 hours before collation started at the collation center. The only results I didn't have, which I couldn't have, was the results of the special voting, because that is counted before collation starts. So I knew. Okay, so this is to enable us have transparency. So under what circumstance can the Electoral Commission say that we don't have a pink sheet? So when you gather all the the results of the polling stations within a constituency. You collate the results, and that is what the incumbent member of parliament for Subzero was alluding to.
Yeah.
You collate the results, count the special votes, and then declare a winner and fill a form and give copies of the form after declaring the winner for that election to the parties, that is polling agents of the candidates who are contesting, or where the candidate is representing himself, to the candidate. In fact, if we follow the procedure, the procedure cannot admit of mistakes. So that's why sometimes I think that these mistakes, first of all, the not following the procedure was a deliberate decision or ploy by the Electoral Commission to create confusion in the system. Because why will you move? First of all, in Taiwan South, why will you say that you don't have the pink sheets? You know Tolong. Yes. When Abdul Razak was contesting Tolong, I mean, they attacked the two ballot boxes in Tolong, bent the ballots in the boxes. But the agents had already gone. They attacked the electoral officers and destroyed the ballots. But the agents of NDC had already gone home with their pink sheets. So the Electoral Commission could not collate the results in Tolong. The results were collated at the regional office in Tamale. How did the Electoral Commission collate the results? They simply asked the political parties to bring back their pink sheets. To bring back their pink sheets. So this is, I don't think Taiwan South should be a problem. At all. It has happened before in this country. In the Tamale Center in the last elections, 2 ballot boxes were destroyed. 2 ballot boxes. The people, hoodlum just came to the collation center at House of Chiefs and destroyed the ballot boxes outside. Now, my opponent then put a claim that since the ballot boxes were destroyed, we couldn't account for them. I said, no. The law doesn't talk about ballot boxes. In fact, you only recollect the results on one condition. That is, a recollation was requested for at the polling station and was refused.
Absolutely.
Even I was telling somebody yesterday in the parliament that counting and recounting election results is not under the law. It's not. It's not. I mean, there must be a finality. And that's why let me use this opportunity to say that anybody who is calling for peace must also be calling for justice. How is it the justice of the situation, Mr. Kosiprat? When the electoral, and I've seen people now using the figure of 13,433,574 as the figure declared by the Electoral Commission. It's not true. It's not true. And then if you want to know that it's not true, just go back and look at the speech of the Electoral Commissioner. She used 13,434,574. We're not saying that she can't make a mistake. So was that mistake computational? Or where did she get the figure from? You see, that is why when you look at CI 127, particularly Regulation 44, Sub-Regulation 10, and if you are minded for me to educate your viewers,
please,
let me just read that 10, so that viewers will understand that when we say these things, we are not being emotional. We're just trying to say that there's a procedure. The Electoral Commission did not follow that procedure. Regulation 44, Sub-Regulation 10 of CI 47, which is Public Elections Regulations 2020. So the chairman of the commission shall, on receipt of presidential regional summary sheets, as set out in Form 12 of the schedule, from the regional collation officer, in the presence of the public. In the presence of the public, what does it mean? When the regional collation officers are bringing their forms, it should be possible for, if you are going to set up a camera, for them to say, oh, Brown Half Region, we have arrived. This is a summary of our regional collation forms. And summary simply means that you've listed all the constituencies, the votes by each candidate in the constituency, and how I mean the percentages, and then you are presenting it. And then, so it will possible before the public, and with not more than 2 counting agents.
Not more than 2.
Not more than 2 counting agents appointed by the parties contesting or the polling agents of the parties, if any.
Okay.
Assemble and collate the presidential election results from the regions provided by the regional collation officers as set out in Form 12 of the schedule. So, Northern region, what's your results? And this should be before the public. Northern region says its results and says that, look, this is the constituency results which we got, and we added it up. And this one, while we are doing that, we are also collating, and we are cross-checking with what we have collated at our parallel collation unit to see whether the results is correct. That's transparency. B, fill the declaration of presidential results form as set out in Form 13. When you do that, then you don't fill out the form. It's a form. It's not a speech. It's a form. C, request the representatives of the political party to sign the declaration of presidential results form as set out in Form 13 of the schedule. So at the time that you are requesting the signature, the political parties or their representatives will have opportunity to do an audit of the. So if they do that, how can there be a problem? How can there be a problem? Declare the results of the election of the president. When you do that, then you then declare. So now everybody is satisfied that these results reflect what happened in each constituency, each polling station, and each region. Then you declare the results. That's why in 2008, after the declaration, the difference was only 50,000 or so. There was no problem. Because each political party was satisfied that the results was the manifestation or a reflection of the will of the people. Now, post a copy of the declaration of presidential results form as set out in Form 13 at the head office of the Electoral Commission. So you should post. So which figures did they post there? Because the next day they came and changed it, and now people are using the 13,433,573, which was not the figure so used. Which figure did they post? What did they post there? Then the 11 says an instrument which is executed under the hand of the chairman of the Electoral Commission and under the seal of the commission, and states that a person named in the instrument was declared elected as president of Ghana at the election. It's prima facie evidence that the person is so elected, the person named was elected. Now, that's the instrument that the Electoral Commission has now gazetted. But you see the formulation.
The process.
It's prima facie. It's prima facie. It's not what? It's not conclusive. It's not conclusive evidence. It's prima facie evidence. It means that
which ought to be justified.
Which ought to be justified, which cannot be challenged.
Absolutely.
So what are people talking about? What are people talking about? It's a rebuttable presumption. When you hear words like prima facie, it means that presumption can be rebutted.
Yeah. It's not a statement of fact.
Yeah, it's not an irrebuttable conclusion. It's a rebuttable conclusion.
Based on unassailable
evidence. That's why the NDC is putting together ironclad and unassailable evidence to show that the conclusions arrived at or the declaration made by the Electoral Commission cannot be a manifestation or a reflection of the will of the people. Because even the law says that that's prima facie. It's not conclusive. The fact that, so we want peace. But the law of the game in town is evidence. You must have evidence before you go to court. When we have collected the 38,000 pink sheets that the Electoral Commission, in fact, as I said yesterday, I'm hearing that the work we have done, when we finally mount a legal challenge against the declaration by Jean Mensa that Nana Akufo-Addo was elected or has been elected in the 2020 elections, it will be mind-blowing. And I just hope that those calling for peace, when the time comes, and we do mount a legal challenge, and they see the justice in the matter, they will switch from peace to justice.
Thank you very, very much. Mr. Pratt, please take us home.
I think that's a very simple story. I mean, the editors of the Inside themselves added so many things to the story. It's a very simple, straightforward story. Mr. Joe Anochi, who happens to be the chief executive of the National Communications Authority and who is portrayed as an ICT guru, is on television and is being asked very simple questions by the host, Paul Adum Ochre. So I'm not going to waste time at all. Let's go to the questions. You know, Paul Adum Ochre asks very simple questions, you know. He says, so why the NDC are saying that they want Taiwan South? Do you have the results? Mark the question. This Paul Adum Ochre says the NDC is claiming that it wants Taiwan South. Do you have the results? Then he says, yes, we have. He says, yes, we have. Then Paul Adum Ochre says, show me the results. And then they put some results on the screen. And then Paul Anochi says, this is it. Then Paul Adum Ochre says, no, it is not it. He says, this is the presidential and not the parliamentary results. Then Anochi says, yes, I think we don't have the parliamentary yet. Paul, it is difficult getting all the pink sheets, especially the parliamentary ones. This is Anochi. Then Paul asks, okay, so you don't have it, but you have the presidential results, and that shows that Mahama has won. And then Anochi says, yes. This is clear. You understand? Now, we have been told before by the MPP that within 12 hours after voting closed, they had all the pink sheets. This is an admission that that statement cannot be true. And that indeed, days after the elections, MPP was still having difficulty getting pink sheets for parliamentary elections. This is Joe Anochi. So when the MPP told us that they have 140 seats secured, what was the basis?
Is it 149?
What was the? I'm not the one saying this. This is Joe Anochi. And in fact, Joe Anochi is being interviewed by Paul Adum Ochre. And Paul Adum Ochre is a member of the National Communications Authority, appointed by the New Patriotic Party. And he's the one interviewing Joe Anochi. You understand? And Joe Anochi says that days after the elections, they were finding it very difficult to get pink sheets covering the parliamentary elections. So all the claims they're making, where are the claims coming from? The only pink sheet they had at the time that Joe Anochi was being interviewed by Paul Adum Ochre was one which indicated that John Mahama had won the constituency. That was very interesting. You see, me, I like to do my things in a certain way. First of all, this is today's daily graphic. All right? This is today's daily graphic.
Yes.
This is page 33. This is an article authored by the veteran journalist Cameron Dodu.
Yeah.
And Kamondonu has demonstrated over the years that he's not a lover of the NDC. And that's to put it mildly. The heading of the article is, "Oh, easy, but why?" Here it is, Kamondonu, not me. "Oh, easy, but why?" Inside the story, this is, sometimes I forget my English language, you know.
Go to mass. Your mass is better than
But this is a part of an article authored by Kamondonu. And it is published today. And it says, "In a charged atmosphere like this, the last thing one would have expected would have been that the EC chair would make the slightest mistake in her declaration of the result." That's the last thing that one would have expected. The very last thing, not one of the last things, the very last thing that one would have expected. And Kamondonu knows his English. So every word here has been deliberately put here. So the very last thing that anybody would have expected would have been that the EC would make mistakes, not even the slightest mistake, in the declaration of election results. It says, "It isn't the fact that the mistake did not affect the overall results that matters." So he's saying that whether or not the mistake affected the overall results or not is not an issue. What is important is that the EC ought to have been so thorough that no possible mistake could have occurred anywhere in the EC's declaration. He's saying that we should have zero tolerance for mistakes when it comes to declaration of results. And then he goes on. "For we do live in an age in which fact-checking has become doubly essential in everything." Fact-checking. So Kamondonu is saying that there was no fact-checking. Fact-checking, which is essential in everything, was ignored in the declaration of the EC results. And I hope you understand that I'm not the one speaking. I'm only repeating what Kamondonu is saying. Master, me, I like to do my things clean. Pepe. You remember after the declaration of the results, Kodeo, which is the coalition of domestic election observers, came up and said that they had used some method, and that method had come to confirm that the results declared by the EC was perfect. Kodeo. This is the Ghanaian Times of today. Page 12. Ghanaian Times of today, page 12. The same Kodeo. Now listen. "The Coalition of Domestic Election Observers has urged the Electoral Commission to hold a forum to properly address computational errors in the presidential results it declared." So when did Kodeo come to realize that there were computational errors? They were saying that everything was correct. Now they say that there are computational errors which must be addressed in a public forum by the EC. They don't stop there. Kodeo, it described as unfortunate, the EC's press release where it stated that the chairperson of the commission inadvertently used 13,433,573 as the total valid cast, but the total valid cast was actually 13,119,460. Look at the difference. We are talking about a difference in excess of 300,000 votes that Kodeo decided to ignore. Now we've come to admit. I mean, this country is an interesting country.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
You know, all you have to do is to be patient and watch and listen.
Sure.
Just be patient, sit back, watch and listen to the players.
Yes, that's true.
They will dance and dance and turn and dance and turn and turn In the end, they become dizzy and they begin to collapse. You know, when you spin, you begin to get dizzy. And when the dizziness reaches a certain height, you fall. That's science. That's what is happening. Now listen again. The coalition asked the EC to go beyond passive publication of press releases to hold a forum to address underlying issues with respect to computational errors identified so as to allay any lingering concerns and doubts. So Kodio itself has not been able to allay its own lingering concerns and doubts. Now, who accepts an election results over which there are lingering concerns and doubts?
And they say we shouldn't say.
Who accepts an election results over which there are lingering concerns and doubts? And these are not my words. These are the words of Kodio. He says, a statement signed by Albert Ahen, the national coordinator of Kodio, said the release of Kodio's 2020 parallel vote tabulation estimates had generated some public interest and reaction, particularly following the EC's press release on December 10, 2020, in which the Commission corrected certain errors in its previous official declaration. You know, I must commend Mr. Albert Ahen. This statement he signed is an attempt to redeem the image of Kodio. Because Kodio's image had been totally destroyed by a statement made by Sheikh
Shaibu.
Arumia. And Mr. Ahen is struggling to redeem that image. And he's admitting here that after Kodio released that statement, there were serious concerns about Kodio's own credibility.
And they are safety.
You understand? Now, Kodio has jumped. Well, it's in the Daily Ghanaian Times of today, page 12, and I think everybody should read it. I mean, it's so clear. I'm not going to waste my time on it. You know.
No.
I haven't finished. Or you want me to finish? I can finish.
Well, I just want to add something.
Hold on, when I finish, then we can add. Master, I'm reading the newspapers today. And I'm seeing all kinds of headlines. Wow! Ghana. Ghana is sweet. Master.
Which one?
Akufo-Addo gazetted as president-elect. Then there are some people, unfortunately, including the presidential candidate of the Convention People's Party, Ivor Greenstreet. Ivor, I'm disappointed in you. So use judicial means to address electoral grievances. Ivor, where is this coming from? And Ivor, who gave you the mandate to take this position on behalf of the CPP? Have you consulted the Central Committee? Ivor, have you even had a discussion with the leadership of the party before making such statements? Ivor, the Convention People's Party does not belong to you. It is not your personal property. And Ivor, you must listen to me clearly. You are stopped from making any statements on behalf of the Convention People's Party without clearance from the party's structures. I'm a member of the Convention People's Party. I know that there have been no consultations within the party to take any such position. And I am disappointed that this is happening. Be that as it may, they say use judicial means to address grievances. And there are several of those kinds of statements and so on. Now, the question I ask simply is there only one option for addressing judicial grievances? There isn't. Kodio, for example, has said one, which is addressing all these discrepancies in the results announced by the election. That is not by a court. Kodio says, hold a public forum and answer them. Is what Kodio saying illegal? It is not illegal. It is legal. It is proper. It is correct. You understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
IDEC had said something else.
Yeah.
IDEC
Says it's unconstitutional.
IDEC has said
to address the computation error.
yes, IDEC has called upon us to address the computational errors.
Yeah, in the results.
The inter-party
IDEC. Kodiro has called on us to address the computational errors.
Okay.
yeah.
IDEC says that IDEC and other CSO says that it's unconstitutional for your mama to have demanded for a forensic audit of the results. It's unconstitutional.
But IDEC has made another statement. You know,
Can you imagine this?
It is within his constitutional right to do so.
the inter-party coordinating committee or whatever it is also held a press conference yesterday and called for an audit of the election results. Now, there are so many options open to political parties. Why the judicial process alone? In fact, in correcting its own mistakes, the EC did not adopt the judicial process.
That issue has come up strongly.
In correcting its own mistakes, the EC did not adopt the judicial process. Why are we not telling the EC that when he discovered that he had made mistakes, he should have gone to court for an order to correct their errors? Absolutely. So this is double standard hypocrisy. I can't believe it. You understand? Now, my brothers, listen to me very carefully. There is no law in Ghana, no constitutional provision in Ghana which compels people who have grievances, election grievances, to go to court. I dare anybody to show me any provision in the Constitution or any law in Ghana which compels any candidate in an election to go to court. There's no law. There's no provision. It says that, the provision says that if you are dissatisfied and if you like, if you choose, then go to court. If you don't like to go to court, it is not against the law, it is not against the Constitution. Again, the Constitution of this country prescribes several other methods of seeking justice. Many methods of seeking justice. One of them is protest. And indeed, when it comes to protest, I have said repeatedly that the King Kong of protest in Ghana is His Excellency, the sitting President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Clearly, he's the King Kong of protest. You understand? And protest is not unlawful.
No.
So if you think that there are things wrong with this declaration of election results and so on, and you are protesting, it is lawful, it is constitutional. And nobody can tell you to abandon that part and go to court. Nobody has the right to tell anybody what to do. The options are open to individual political parties, they are open to individual personalities, and they are open to groups and so on. And the options are many. There are many. The options include protest, legitimate option. In any case, reading today's newspapers, I found an interesting quote from Elvis Afriye Ankara. Can somebody help me to find it?
Yeah, it's somewhere here.
And Elvis Afriye Ankara is actually saying that rigging elections amount to treason. So if you take the view that rigging elections amounts to treason, the Constitution prescribes ways of dealing with treason. It doesn't include going to court. The 1992 Constitution says that when treason is committed, you don't go to court.
Citizens must defend the Constitution.
You understand? So if you take the view that there have been election malpractices and so on, one of the options you may exercise is to go to court. If you take the view that treason has been committed, that's another way of dealing with it. You understand? If you take the view that what has happened amounts to a constitutional violation, amounts to overthrowing the Constitution, there's another way of going about it and so on. So there are several ways of going about this matter. Happily and luckily for all of us, the National Democratic Congress and its presidential candidate have come out and say, look, we want to resolve this matter peacefully. what you want to do is to have an audit of the figures. If you have an independent audit of the figures, and the independent auditor states that we are wrong, we are ready to accept the results and move forward.
Yes.
If you don't want this, what do you want?
He said we should go to court.
If you don't want this, do you want to uphold the view that this is treason? Because if you uphold the view that this is treason, you know the consequences. I don't want to believe that this is treason. Because if I come to the conclusion that this is treason, the option prescribed by the Constitution is clear. The Constitution says that when treason is committed, we should do every and anything possible to overturn the treason which has been committed. So I don't want to go there. I don't want to accept that treason has been committed. I want to accept that it is just possible that a lot of errors have been committed. And you can see that. It's clear. You can see that. Now, if errors have been committed, and I even want to assume that the errors were committed inadvertently. I want to accept that for now, for today. So if there are so many errors...
I don't agree with you.
Oh, Master, I know what I'm talking about. I'm talking deliberately.
It can never be inadvertent.
You take that view, no problem. But if you take the view that the errors were not committed inadvertently, then we are getting close to the position that treason has been committed.
But you don't see it.
And so you say treason has been committed. I don't want to say that treason has been committed. Master, I know what I'm saying and I know what I'm doing. And I know when to be cautious and when not to be cautious. I know.
Yeah.
So everything I'm doing is deliberate and calculated.
Yes, sir.
So I'm saying that there are errors. I want to assume that these errors are inadvertent. And I want to assume that these errors are so fundamental that they can affect the results as declared by the EC. So I'm willing and ready to go along with, let us do everything to check the results again. And it's not difficult. Get your pink sheet, do an analysis of your pink sheet. Even the pink sheets sometimes are not important. You know why I'm saying that? Because if you take the results as announced by the Electoral Commission, without any reference to pink sheets, you can demonstrate that these results are wrong. First of all, if you add the percentages up and they exceed 100%, it's a mathematical impossibility. It's a phantom. You throw it away. If you do the arithmetic and the arithmetic doesn't add up, there's a problem. Okay? And so on. Now, if you have any constituency or any polling station where the number of votes cast is more than the number of registered voters, that result automatically, ab initio, is flawed, and we have to have the elections again. I want somebody to argue with me that you can have a situation where you have more voters than registered voters, and yet the results must be accepted. How is that possible? How is that possible? So for all the constituencies where it can be proven that more people voted in polling stations than the number of people who registered, those results ab initio should be declared invalid. That means going back to conduct elections. Now there's something which is very interesting which people are not bringing their minds to, and it is simply this. My brother, listen to me carefully. If I'm wrong, tell me that I'm wrong. It appears so simple, and yet it is so fundamental to the declaration of this result. When the results were being declared, the EC said that only one constituency result was not ready.
Yeah.
And that, by their calculation, if you added all the votes in that constituency to the votes of President Mahama, it would not make any difference. Now, it turns out that at the time of the declaration of the results, there were at least 3 constituencies whose results were not ready and were not part of the declaration. So, the most logical question to ask is this. If you add all of those results to President Mahama's result, will that make a difference or not?
Of course it would.
Common sense, Master, just common sense. And nobody can say that if you add all those results to President Mahama's result, it will not make a difference.
Sure.
Now, if that is the case, why did the EC declare the results on that Wednesday at the time that it did without waiting for the other results? If that is the case, something is fundamentally wrong. Now, I recall 2008. I hope everybody recalls. The EC made a similar statement that if you add the results of the 10 elections, one constituency, it will make a fundamental difference. So we actually went for a third round. Third round. Because of one constituency result. Now you have a case where you have about 3 to 4 constituency results. And don't you forget that in the 2008 elections, President Mills won by just a little over 50,000 votes. So this whole thing doesn't make sense. And anybody, and I mean anybody, who is attempting to push through this election result as declared by the Electoral Commission should be very careful. In fact, if I were His Excellency President Akufo-Addo, I'd be very worried. Because if you don't go through the proper processes in order to validate these results, there will be question marks over Nana Akufo-Addo's presidency for 4 long years. His legitimacy will be hanging in a balance. Why does he want that? Why would the New Patriotic Party want that? In fact, President Akufo-Addo will be more comfortable and will be able to perform his duties better if his legitimacy is established. And his legitimacy in these circumstances, given all the facts we have, can only be established if these results declared by the Electoral Commission are verified. Mind you, the European Observer Mission, European Commission Observer Mission, in their report, stated that the collation of the election result was not done in a transparent manner. Who accepts the results of an election which were not collated in a transparent manner? It means they were conducted in an opaque manner. Why in the world would anybody accept such results? The African Union has made the same statement. You understand? So, my brothers, and then for Ivor Green Street and others who are saying use judicial process and so on, they should go back to the Constitution. The NDC and President Mahama have up to sometime in January to go to the Supreme Court. Why do you think that the law made that provision? There's no compulsion to go to court now. It says they should go to court how many days after the declaration of the results? And 27 days.
21 days.
21 days after the declaration of the results. The results were declared, I think, on December 9th. Add 21 days and see where it takes you. So, if they want to go to court, they can still go to court 21 days after the declaration of the results. There's no hurry to go to court today. Why should they go to court today? The law does not say that they should go to court immediately. It says 21 days after the declaration of the result. No, after gazetting of the result, not the declaration.
And the gazetting was done, I think, yesterday.
And the gazetting was done yesterday.
On the 15th.
So that takes us into January.
And that is if they so wish.
And that is if they so wish. Oh, Master, you are a proper lecturer. Your English is wow.
Thank you.
I like your English. I wish my mathematics was like your English. Or the EC's mathematics was like your English.
We'll not be here.
I'm humbled.
If they so wish, 21 days from the 15th of December, That is when they have to go to court, if they so wish. That's all this.
Thank you.
Master,
Yeah, oh, no, yes,
you
yes,
say,
yes, yes,
Master,
yes,
you
yes,
say,
yes.
people calling for peace also have a duty to be honest. Because our national anthem invites us to be bold and honest. Now you see, the Electoral Commission established IPAC. IPAC is what? The political parties coming together for the purposes of consultation. The CSOs and IDEC says independent election audit outside the court is unconstitutional. Independent election audit after the court is unconstitutional. Kodeo, which is also a CSO, says EC aims to properly address computational errors in results. In the public forum, if EC is addressing computational or errors, what is it doing? Is it not doing an election audit?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not doing an election audit.
Yeah.
Kodeo says it's unconstitutional. How can that be an honest? IDEC says it's unconstitutional. How can that be an honest statement? In any case,
Honorable, are we actually being told that only the Supreme Court can tell us
yes,
that 20 plus 50 is not 2,000?
Yes.
Are we honestly being
That's what they are saying. In any case, if you want peace in the country, Master, does it not make sense that we do an election audit? All the political parties, including those civil society organizations who speak big English, let's the EC present the results, and we do an audit of the results, and everybody satisfies himself that this is a matter that will not hold water.
My time.
Yes.
Yes.
I just want to make an observation, and it is important for all Ghanaians. Let's all agree that the statistical malfeasance committed by the EC is an embarrassment to the entire nation. And therefore, it should be the business of the people to call for a solution to it in the supreme interest of democracy.
Thank you. Thank you very, very kindly. Thank you, Dr. Marzouk. Thank you, Honorable Enusa Fuseni. Thank you, Mr. Kwesi Pratt Jr. Now, let me say a huge thank you to the 1,500 people who are watching us now, currently on Facebook. Grateful to you for watching us this morning. And also a special good morning to you, Samuel Oku. You are watching Alaji Baba Sedi. You are watching Dr. Robert Kugagnavlem. You are watching Samuel Obri Edriama, General Manager, Region. You are watching, and all the other people who are watching us from across the world. We are grateful to you for always watching Pan-African television. You can follow me on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, Kwame Owusu Danso, and let's connect there. It's been an absolute pleasure serving you this morning with Good Morning Africa show. I'll meet you tomorrow. It's going to be extremely exciting tomorrow as well. Do have a very, very pleasant day. Salute. Bye-bye.